Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We continue our working day at Ukraine Crisis Media Center. And now we are going to speak about what happened yesterday. The search that was carried out by the General Prosecutor's Office of Ukraine and the Leschenko company office. So I give the floor to Yevgen Utkin, who is the president of this company, and he is going to tell not about this event, but also about the importance of investment in Ukraine's economy and also the importance of human capital. Also, our speaker is Svetoslav Leschenko. He is the director of venture company, and also the floor will be given to People's Deputy Sergiy Leschenko and also Viktor Galasiuk and Sergiy Vysovsky, the Deputy of the Kiev City Council. Welcome on stage. Good afternoon, dear friends. I congratulate you with the Independence Day of our country, the independence that is hard to reach. It is painful. So the cause for today's event is yesterday's intervention of the General Prosecutor's Office, and also there was SBU and Alpha. I saw the eyes of people who went through ATO, and they were civilized in their actions. And as to Prosecutor's Office, there is a decision of Pechersk District Council Court of Kiev on that the U-Arms company has a relation to the case of Ukrgaz Dobыча company on the supply of the software, and based on the decision of this court, because U.R.'s company is Severosyretsk 1-3 Street, this is the triangle about there are many companies in this area, and maybe there are resources in this country, and several dozens of General Prosecutor's Office and some unidentified people who swear bad words, and civilized Alpha that provided support, and then they went away because they didn't see anything bad, that people carry out some acts of terror or something like that. So tens of companies, they broke through the doors of several companies' premises, and also they came to M-Score service company, and they spent the whole day there. They took things, personal belongings, for example, my credit card that my driver had, they took it as evidence. Maybe this is because of foolishness or greed. I don't know why they did it. So the company was started 2015. The decision is taken on the case that was in 2012 till March 2014, and the company was started 2015, and only one person works there, and this company does not carry out economic activity, but tens of our people were humiliated, their dignity was violated. KMCOR is a technological holding. Starting 2010, we work in Ukraine, and starting this moment, we invested 150 million in the investment as investment capital in the economy of Ukraine, but we didn't get any profit because of the problems with the power, with the economy, with war. So we just invested, we didn't get any profit. Our company is the successor of the company Kvazar Mikro that was started in 1990, and Kvazar Mikro invested $300 million in the investment as brought as investment at the economy of Ukraine, and we paid millions of hryvnias as taxes, and many people worked in our company. So I couldn't enter my private company because only one person works in yours company, and I couldn't reach this 25,000 square meters. Also, they broke the door of the premises of our volunteers, and volunteers, they created high-tech. We brought many high-tech equipment to the ATU area, and there were some helmets also provided by our company. So I'm very emotional about it, because people who worked with me for 20-25 years, their personal assets were seized. They just had their things in the office, and all this was seized from the office by some people who speak different language. I'm not speaking about Ukrainian, Russian, or English. This was just swearing. And part of those people were identified as General Prosecutor's Office officials. And why did they come there? In 2012, now they have some quarrels between NABU and the General Prosecutor's Office, and here I see the struggle between old and new system. And in 2012, Ukrgazdobycha concluded a contract with Techno and another company, the world leader in software, sub-company provided software. And we carried out works connected with consulting and business processes, also with installation of the software and training. And for this, we were not paid. So this work under this contract was not paid at all. And the General Prosecutor's Office, they tried to show this. They tried to manipulate this information. So we do not have any relation to the software. Our services are not paid for. And so they say that the software was not delivered, but another company delivers the software, sub-company. They paid this company, they didn't pay us, but they paid that company. And the software cannot be found, and they do not give us any money for our work. This decision is foolish and greedy. This is a decision of Pechersk court. The decision of Pechersk court is here. And I would like to say that Chemcore company and me personally, Chemcore company was set up after our team for the first time created the placement in the London Stock Exchange market, and in the Forbes they said that I'm a rich person. So this wealth was invested into the startups. It was invested into the support of our army and also here in Maidan. And thankfulness of people, and we thank our employees, and part of the money of our employees is just stolen. There is no ground for taking this money away. So there are lawyers. We were not prepared. there is an external enemy, and I haven't been here for a long time because there is war and we're against Putin, but we didn't hold any press conference. Our legal department here, we have only 2 persons in our legal department. We didn't know that we have internal enemy. We, together with Yury Vitalyevich and together with President, we were shoulder to shoulder, and this is an emotional part, and I ended with it. Now, I would like to say that we deal with high technology in order to educate one person up to the level of good professional in IT sphere. We need not less than $1 million, starting from his birth till his certificates. So Ukraine, as my friend said, who is Intel Capital president, the biggest venture company, Ukraine enters into the list of 10 countries, and Dmitry Shimkiv also said he knows really well high technologies. According to his official information, 10,000 programmers left the country in this last year, so 9 million just went away. So each 2 days, there were some intrusions in the IT company activity, according to the Venture Association company. So also my colleague will tell you more about it and present more figures about it. I would like to make an official address. First to Yury Vitalyevich. So this is a fabricated document that doesn't contain any true word in it. Please deal with it. Secondly, I wait for your excuses before my colleagues because your service brutally violated their rights. These are people, Yury Vitalyevich, who in 2014, when you were one of the leaders and field commanders, so remember about it, please. That's why I wait for the return of all that was seized except those. You have everything, so we are in the court proceedings and the company presented all the documents. We have all the documents in prosecutor's office and in the courts. I don't know why you came. That's why I'm waiting that you return all belongings of my colleagues, and your officials will say that they are sorry for their doings. Petro Alexeyevich, we met with you many times in 2 last years, speaking about innovative economy, high technologies, and attraction of investments. And I'm really grateful for your warm words on how we support our army. But I would like to hear, and I would like you to hear and to see real actions, because I work in business for 26 years. So in any other times, there were no such bad conditions that we have now at the moment. So the main thing, I always say that you can rely only on yourself, on your friends, and only on new things that are born here. And I would like to express my gratitude to all my friends, Facebook friends and real friends, active people who supported us, our field in which we were in Maidan, and with whom our employees were in the ADO area. Thank you very much. I agree that we should take this information to the public, and we should clear our country. And those new, I see that there are new people, and we will be able to build new Ukraine because we do not have other choice. Thank you very much. And now I give the floor. I'm sorry for being so emotional. I give the floor to Mr. Sviatov, Bunch Ventures cluster, and then we will answer questions. And then I would like to ask Viktor Galasiuk and Sergiy Leschenko will speak about it also. And Sergiy Gusinsky. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Glad to see you all. Thank you, Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. I would like to add some facts about IT. As you may know, 3% of GDP is IT industry. So new employment, high salaries, and the employment is created not only in the field, but also in different spheres of service. And we work with international investors from Canada, from the European Union. And often one of the requirements for investment is that company should understand the legal spheres of other countries. And the Ukrainian Venture Company Association provided the information that IT companies got 132 million, but some of them are not now Ukrainian because they went to Poland and they developed their business there. As to IT spheres, so to train one IT specialist, it costs about $1 million. So if people leave Ukraine, it means that each 2 hours, one IT specialist left the country. So $9 billion are fleeing Ukraine. Also, in 2015, IT companies were checked and verified by the state services, and also some equipment was confiscated. And each 2 days, they come to this IT company, so they just break doors. And according to the information provided by IT Association, millions of dollars are lost because of it. So this is a systemic work against our companies. And lastly, this old system and the absence of clear rules negatively influence business in Ukraine. And we address to the government that we shouldn't break doors and to do harm to our employees. We should create clear and equal rules of the game. Thank you very much for your attention. Dear friends, I'm ready to answer your questions. And then, Viktor or Sergiy, you will identify for yourself. So, Sergiy maybe also say something. So, introduce yourself first. Oleg Lyashko, business newspaper. Yevgeny, in the definition you've shown, the judge forbid to take belongings and assets in the course of the search. So officials took them, but in the court decision there's no such a statement that they can do this. So they came to their own company. They seized the 3rd floor of our office building, and in one of the rooms where was the personnel? They came there and they opened a safe and found personal assets and belongings of workers of the office. And they thrown away the lawyer from that room and they didn't allow anyone to come in. Good afternoon, Громадське, Sergiy Sapko. Tell us, please. So recently we see that there are some seizures in the IT companies. So do you believe that this case is a personal attack from special services on you, or this is just earning of money, so to say? As I said, this is stupidity and also greed at the same time. It's not something personal. I do not earn money here because there's nothing to earn on. And all the money that I got is because I did it because of my intellect, and they cannot take it away from me. I think that 2 more questions, and maybe I will give the floor to. So the floor will be given to my colleagues. Kazakh Univer Group. Rhetoric question: in what way will this case influence to the attraction of investment into Ukraine? So 132 million were invested, but not in Ukrainian companies. These are the companies that belong to elsewhere. And the problem with our industry is that about $3 billion is the scope of the market for export, but the capitalization is not here in Ukraine. Capitalization is happening in Russia, Belarus, United States, and other countries. And this is like export of the raw materials, outsourcing software, and that's why, what can I say? There are no financial instruments to attract, to carry out business here. We try to invest, to attract investment, and in 2 weeks we will tell what we were able to do. And it is really difficult, but after such incidents, it's difficult to assess harm. It's difficult, in figures, I mean. Maybe for the whole industry, I'm not afraid to say this, these are hundreds of millions of dollars. Thank you, Yevgeny. Then I would like to give the floor to our people's deputies, and they are going to continue. Maybe my colleagues should join us on the scene from party organization. So it is important to show political support because we are the witnesses of the brutal attempts to interfere into business, to IT technology business. That should be the main priority, and we see the ruining of this business, and Kononenko-Granovsky department is destroying the business. And if you look at the on the Facebook comments, you may see that the Department on Special Affairs and Economic Issues is headed by Mr. Sus, who tortured people. And we know that he made some illegal actions, and the same person is overseeing the case. And when Yuri Lutsenko said that there won't be any special departments, this department remains in Petlura Street, and he deals with these issues that are groundless or that they have political pretext. and this department was not reformed, and this is the direct consequence why they came to Yevgen, to his company, and for the we see that declarations of Lyashko and his actions are two different things. If he protects the supremacy of law, he should reform this department. And they left this department intact, and we should initiate the collection of signatures to dismiss Lyashko, because I do not see any other opportunity to deal with these issues. Thank you. So this is a very difficult and important issue, and on the eve of the Independence Day, I wish we could speak about prospects of our development, and there should be not Ukraine Crisis Media Center, but Ukraine Development Media Center. But if we are speaking about this shameful event, I should say that this is not just the intervention in the activity of IT companies and brutal humiliation of volunteers and entrepreneurs and investors and Ukrainian producers, to people on whose shoulders the reputation of our country is held. So this is systemic illness that exists here in our country. This is the violation of rights of people and the humiliation of those people who can really earn. They didn't come to those people who just misappropriate public funds. They came to innovators, to a person who is one of the visiting cards of our country, because he is known abroad, and he is a person very important and renowned in the sphere. And this is a huge blow to the sphere. Imagine that each Ukrainian entrepreneur, he can place himself and say that maybe I'm not so intellectual, maybe I'm not so successful, and I didn't make such huge investments to Ukraine. But when you imagine that you are in his place, you can think, can you really feel safe in Ukraine? And can you get good attitude if such a person is so badly treated? So this is a really bad situation, and those top officials, they keep silence like nothing is happening in the country. But truly, what happened in Core company is the bright signal to all investors, both Ukrainian and foreign, then the strategy 2020 of the president, and we can promise a lot. But by these deeds, they ruin those grounds of trust that still remain and still can be found. So this is unacceptable. That's why I would like to say that yesterday I spoke to Yevgen, we discussed the situation, and objectively we got information from his team, and I am, as a head of the Committee on Entrepreneurship and the deputy of Radical Party leader, I addressed to SBU official and prosecutor's office officials, and this is not the issue of law enforcement, but this is the issue of investment climate and also the issue of business ombudsman. And I spoke with the Office of Business Ombudsman, because we should correct the situation and we should change the rules of the game in such a way to show our strengths that we are ready to get united, and there should be changes in our country, and we should support Yevgeny, and we should prevent further violations in the future. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. So, nothing new happened. Pechersky Court, procedural violations, and the General Prosecutor's Office, but each time it happens, You feel pain. You understand that there is absurd in this system. So where is the state and where is the public and those people who ruin our state? So I ask myself, and do we have the representatives of the representative of General Prosecutor's Office? So how many people did you have yesterday? So there were several tens of people, but today we have one person who can tell something about it. Do we have such a person? Or maybe a person from the presidential administration? There are some people from a Microsoft company, so they know about software. So where is the reaction? The attack is on the people. So, sorry for this technological term, they should clone such a person. Such a person as Yevgen Utkin. They should dream about such a person. There should be thousands of people like this. This is a co-founder Google Fest, and also this is a person who carry out master classes. So this is a person who is universal in the broadest sense. So this is a person every society wants. So and what we have now is the ruining. And I advise to the representatives of the General Prosecutor's Office and also to the representatives of the power to read history of Ukraine. They should know about such a period of our country that is called ruining. And these officials, they deal with this ruining, so they are involved in this. So the fifth article of the Constitution should be marked and printed on every official. The source of power is people. And here we have representatives of different parties, and we are united by this pain that the state, it exists outside this country. Thank you. I have two messages. The first, impeccable reputation. I'm the General Director of Information Technology Association, starting 2007, and I am from the start of my activity. Quasar Micra was one of the companies we dealt with for a long time and cooperated, and we assessed this company as impeccable and with impeccable reputation in the market. The second message is what our president and prime minister and others speak about innovations. One such action as this is like it fully announces all the opportunities for investment. So we address to our institutions that the actions of General Prosecutor's Office lead to cancellation of all the declarations of our top officials. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Here we gathered. It's symbolic on the eve of the 25th anniversary of independence of Ukraine. So independence is sovereignty, the state with democratic power, and the state where there is supremacy of law. And yesterday's situation shown that this right works sporadically in Ukraine. So we do not investigate, and we didn't hold behind bars those people in Ukraine who have led to the conflict in the east of Ukraine. I speak about Klimenko case that was not brought to the court, and also the case of Boyko. They tried to ruin it in General Prosecutor's Office, and the number of sanctions of the Europeans who they lifted some sanctions because of inactivity of law enforcement bodies, and also Bagataryova and Azarov and others. All these names should be the first indicators, the first examples that fighting corruption is a real action, not just words. But now we see brutal, masked people who violate the rights of the business people, known people, and I am as the member of the committee and the people's deputies. People phoned to me, diplomats phoned, and they asked what happens and what is the signal mean. And the questions will be raised and also will be put to top officials. So I believe that presidential administrations should react on this, and also prosecutor's office, in order to explain not only to journalists, not only to the public, but also to potential investors whom we try to attract to the state in order to help our economy. They should say, what is this signal? Unfortunately, I assess the situation that such cases, they do not allow us to overcome economic crisis. I would like to support Yevgen Utkin as a person who is known in the world and abroad as one of the important leading experts in the IT sphere who invested in Ukraine in culture, in education. And I believe that here is a broad resonance of this case in Ukraine and abroad, and I would like to express my support. And I'm ready to use the instruments that we have as people's deputies in order to help further to establish justice. I would like to continue with what my colleagues say. So as the deputy, I would like to say that I came here to take part in this meeting after other event that is 1 kilometer away in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and there are all the ambassadors of Ukraine, about 100 people. They are gathered for traditional meeting of leadership of the Cabinet of Ministers and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the meeting with the ambassadors where they get instructions and recommendations about the activity, how to represent Ukraine in the world. And yesterday there was a Deputy Minister Mikolsky, the trade representative, who told about the economization of our policy, and also the head of the Supreme Council, Andriy Poroshenko, addressed the meeting, and also there was plenary session where there was Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine on European integration, Ms. Sensat Zaklimpush, and also the Minister of Foreign Affairs also participated. And during all these addresses of our leading officials, the main message was to ambassadors, the personal responsibility of every ambassador to attract foreign investment here in Ukraine and to bring investors, to propagate those positive changes and reforms that happened in Ukraine, and to convince our international partners that Ukraine in these 2 years radically changed, and this is the different state than it was before, as Utkin said, during criminal power of Yanukovych. So they spoke about it really a lot as tasks that are before our the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and our ambassadors. And what I heard during the last 2 days and today in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and comparing it with what I hear here today during this press conference, so the actions and words, they really do not coincide. So they say that our ambassadors should convince investors that our country changed, that investors could come here and make their investments. And they mentioned IT as the most good area to invest. So this is was the brightest example where we can bring investment. And now what I hear today, what is happening at the level of business in relation to such IT area. So these are things that we cannot compare. And this is really bad because our diplomats will provide illusions to our foreign investors, telling them one thing, but our country, unfortunately, in many respects, didn't change. Another example I can tell you about: several weeks ago, I took part as an international guest in the United States. I was at the meeting, and together with the head of our committee, Sergiy, we met with the former Secretary of State and close friend of Clinton, Madeleine Albright. And one of the claims, we said that Obama is the first president of the United States who didn't visit Ukraine. The only argument that Ms. Albright told us is that how can he come to you if we have so many signals that nothing changed in your country? We cannot, if we have signals like this, we cannot do this. And the General Prosecutor's Office was mentioned as one of the bodies where nothing changed, despite all those wonderful words that were said. So what is going on in Ukraine? So minor things that they come out to the international level, they are used as the argument why the President of the United States cannot come to Ukraine, because he cannot connect his reputation with the country, where unfortunately reforms are not implemented. So this is reflected on our image abroad, and also on the attitude towards us at the international level. So all those people you were speaking about who are swearing, they do not understand what harm they do. Their pseudo activity, it really harms our country in the context of attraction of foreign investment, as my colleagues told you about, and also it influences our image and our international policy. We should understand that our struggle that started in Maidan during the Revolution of Dignity, it continues. Unfortunately, the country didn't change to the extent we all wanted and aspired to, and the struggle continues. The fight against the old. So the old system will try to bring us down, and only by our joint efforts and by our motivation and perseverance and our constant struggle, we will be able to overcome this. And I'm glad to hear this optimistic declarations of Mr. Utkin that he will continue this work in Ukraine, and we, as people's deputies and politicians, will do everything possible in order to help people like this, in order that these new developments, that they would continue. You can count on us. We will support you in every respect. Thank you. Dear colleagues, friends, good afternoon. Last week I saw materials in foreign press, and this was a survey called Global Index of Innovations, and according to this research, from out of 128 countries, we are on the 56th place, and indicator 1 is innovations and technologies, and we are at place 33. The effectiveness of governance, 88, and political environment, 123 out of 128. So I say this because we should understand who leads us and who bring us into the past. And from the position of political party that want to build competitive environment and competitive economy. This is the defense of the market economy is the priority number one, and we should do everything possible that this situation was changed. And it is unacceptable that today General Prosecutor's Office of Ukraine and General Prosecutor of Ukraine, who are directly involved in with these affairs, and this interference that was made, the administration of the president, they also keep silence. And we know that this company, it has good reputation in Ukraine and abroad. So the requirement number one, we should put as immediate response, because this delay costs a lot to Ukraine, because talented people leave Ukraine, and the companies that go to other countries, that it is easier for them to do business, and also indirect losses. So these are lack of investment, also taxes, lost employment opportunities. So I address to everyone, we are now at the level where we should pressure for changes. We did a lot in Maidan, we did it a lot in the east of the country, when our servicemen defend us from external aggression, but also we should consolidate our efforts in order to prevent going back to the old system. So there should be organizational support to the enterprises that suffer from the pressure, and they feel this intervention from old corrupt institutions, and also there should be direct response to any attempts to stop entrepreneurship and the movement ahead in our state. So if, for example, tomorrow is the Independence Day, but then if this field that is the driver of Ukrainian economy, and it will be the driver, if they go to the presidential administration, what signal will be sent to the president and to the whole world? In order to prevent this, the response should be quick, immediate, and if it is a fault, they should correct it. If it is like this, it's not a fault, and the power believes that they can do it, so they should come up and explain why they do this, and we will try to find opportunities to explain to Ukrainians that they should replace the top officials. Evgeny, please, final remarks. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. Thank you for these words. This is the words of support, and also this is support of the IT sphere. And I regard this case as a precedent. There is in business, in the system of management, there is such a case. You have this precedent, and you make a case study, you analyze this case, and then you introduce changes inside the company. It's a good example. It's not only about us. I would like to give the floor. There is a new association. It is called, so we have borscht and we have soup. Katerina Glaskova. Good afternoon, everyone. Katerina Glaskova. I am the executive director of Association of Entrepreneurs. We do not have any political affiliation. I'm here today because we really want to support, first of all, IT sphere and Yevgen Utkin and his company, and of course all the IT specialists, because they really contribute to the economy of Ukraine, and also to support entrepreneurs, because there are intimidations. There are some masked people come, and we see that the the old system persists, and IT sector feels this, especially it started a year ago, and we as an association, we were created in order to promote development of business, and there should be response to such things, and people who should take decisions on how to communicate with business. I would like to remind that there is draft law 3319 to introduce changes to the procedural code, that things should not be seized, some belongings, personal assets, valuables, so they cannot take service, they can just copy information, and there are other important provisions that will prevent the stop of business on not grounded basis. And also our Association of Entrepreneurs, we created a committee, and we have committee on cooperative security and security of business, and we can get applications, and we are ready to respond on such events. And there are interventions in the business that are groundless, and there are some masked people come to the companies. We can help people, and as to the latest events, we want to say that we condemn all those actions that were made, and we hope that the truth will be established, and we support Yevgeny. We believe that what Yevgeny does is important. He works for the benefit of the economy of Ukraine. Thank you. Larissa Mudrak. We have time, right? So I came, Family Business Network Association, and I am the executive director of Ukrainian cluster, and so I believe that it is important to unite the business. We should defend ourselves, because we see only PR from the power, and it's time to get united. We should understand that only by our own effort we can survive, because this leads to immigration of our specialists, and the politicians should be ashamed of these facts, because each one should be responsible. It's not about IT sphere, but also family businesses suffer. There are some raids against them. Antoshka company also suffered from raider attack, and only because friends help each other, they can survive. So I address to the business, we should get united, and we should establish new rules, and we should help each other. Thank you. And lastly, what I wanted to say, one more address to the representatives of the old system. At this simple example, we do not have organizational resources. We work we fight against external enemy. Everything that was organized is organized by the old system during several minutes, not even hours. That's why, using our technologies, we are able to do things. And I address those from the old system, those who swore, you cannot do this. You do not have a chance. You cannot manage the state. You cannot do this efficiently. And if you cannot do this. Why did you come? So you have other goals. So please leave. Thank you. Thank you, Evgeny. Thank you, dear colleagues. If you have questions to speakers, you can put your questions off records. Thank you.